Hiya, Phil here, doing a video log for my A2 Media blog. Essentially what I'm going to do in this video is just sort of run through the progress we've made so far. So go back to the conception of our idea for our media trailer, inspirations that we took to go forward with that idea, and steps we've taken to research and get into production. So starting off really, last time when we did a media and film at AS, we sort of went down the horror kind of thriller route, and it was alright. We tried to be different, have conventions in there but not make it too sort of like other student works. In film I did something completely different. I did sort of like a little adventure, kind of comedy drama sort of story, more for a family. So I've done different genres over the course of 2 different subjects, but for this one I thought we wanted to do something a bit darker, because that's kind of the style that we're into, but we didn't want to go down the traditional thriller horror route. We wanted to try something else. And I've recently become kind of interested in this idea of film noir or neo-noir. It all started from this very film, Drive, which is a very, very popular film. Lots of fans, people love it, critics love it, and I love it. And this is essentially what kind of became the catalyst for my interest in noir. You know, I saw this film, never seen anything like it before. This is incredibly inspirational, and it was incredibly well made as well. It's a personal favourite. So essentially, that film was kind of what got me kick-started into this idea of doing a noir-styled film. But I didn't want to do sort of like a Drive thing because I felt it would be a bit too obvious. People might just see it as another thriller film. And so I thought we had to try and add a bit of a twist to it, but still keeping the noir style. So I thought about films that I'd seen previously and figured that there was one particular film that would be a great inspiration, and that film is 1982 Blade Runner. I think the date's right, I'll check that in a bit, but I'm pretty sure I got that right. This is the 5-disc collector's box set that I have borrowed from the moment, but I'm watching all the films again, just so I've got different endings and variations. But essentially, this is kind of what we based our whole sort of trailer on. Highly inspirational film. It's a cult classic, but we've taken a lot of things from it. So a lot of the narrative from this film we've based our own on. We've changed things up. Obviously, we don't want to plagiarise the film too badly, but we need the kind of a foundation, a basis from which to work from. And this is quite a good tool to do that from. Very good film. So we've done that, taken a lot of conventions. Look at how they created sets, its use of smoke, lighting, the style of the characters, but also how this film in the 80s sort of entered the period of neo-noir. You had during the 1940s and the 50s this sort of golden age of American film noir, you know, sort of shady private investigators with the fedoras and the trench coats and the hard lighting or the smoke. And it sort of dipped down a bit and then sort of resurfaced and re-emerged in the 80s and 90s. Known as neo-noir. Neo just means new, but it had different things. So I often set neon lights in bars. The characters weren't always private investigators. They could be deeper, darker, more mysterious people that would go off on these stories. And a film that I've been looking into. Sorry, it's more of a recent one. Yet funnily enough, still plays on the old traditional sense of film noir. Is actually LA Confidential. Now you might notice it's still in the packaging. I haven't had time to open it or watch it yet. And I really want to get around to doing it because it's got Kevin Spacey in, who is one of my all-time favourite actors. I love that guy. So I'll get around to watching that, but hopefully that'll be kind of a source of inspiration as well, you know, to see what we can work from for that and take things from that. So to give you kind of an idea of how our trailer's going and the idea for it, we've got this guy called Luca. He's sort of a bit shady, you don't really know what's going on with him, he's sort of all mysterious. And he gets called up by a representative from this big company called Helios. Set in the future, by the way, just to make that let you guys know. So it's like sci-fi noir. Helios is this big energy company. He's taking all the energy, making it and giving it to the rich, and then obviously that's causing a gap between sort of the rich and the poor. Carlton, who is this kind of representative from Helios, this older gentleman, very formal, very serious, and has a dark motives for himself. Invites Luca to a meeting and they discuss his business, and what Carlton wants Luca to do is to destroy this flare. Now what we decided was that flare is sort of this independent, small, illegal group producing this sort of their own version of energy and selling it off to different people. And this is causing all sorts of problems for this big company, Helios. And so Carlton is going to hire Luca to destroy them in any way, whether it's through violence or just sort of through hiding, making them shut up. But the idea we're going to push through is like he kind of wants them gone, he wants them dead. Essentially Luca's going to go on this mission, but he may sort of have like a moral twist. Obviously, a very key convention of noir is sort of this corrupt, sort of moral character, like an anti-hero, very much like Ryan Gosling's character in Drive, who sort of finds this salvation, this thing that can redeem them to try and make them a better person throughout this dark history that they've had. And we're going to try and represent that in our own trailer. So it has a lot of the key conventions. We're going to try and use sort of the neo-noirish lighting, with the neon signs, so kind of the deep sort of blues and the reds and pinks and oranges. And so we're going to think about locations such as Chinatown up in London, sort of Crystal Palace Park, Shirley Hills, because there's a pretty nice sort of landscape, picturesque view of London, which you can see from a distance. And we're going to think of like this Afters restaurant, so this really brightly lit interior, sort of pink, jukeboxes, almost like an American style 50 kind of diner, which I think could be quite a good location to do some filming in. And we're going to go up there Wednesday, actually to try and take some pictures, see places we could film, areas that would be good enough with the lighting effects and everything like that. And then hopefully we'll begin to start filming in a couple of weeks' time or further that. In terms of music choices, we're probably going to base it more off the dry Blade Runner style of soundtracks, where they have this very electronic synth style. Obviously there's different because there's sort of a 30-year gap between those two films, so they've got slightly distinctive sounds between them, but they both kind of have this concept of this sort of very 80s infused electro synth. So we might try and find something like that we can play over the top of our trailer. In terms of sort of the style of it, we're probably going to look for more of like instead of the editing of the trailer, like very modern, so cutting to black a lot, having sort of match on sound edits, the sound sort of pulsing with the trailer. So yeah, that's sort of the progress we've done kind of so far. So I've kind of talked about inspirations, the narrative of the story, where we hope to film, sort of films that have inspired us, and where we're going to go from there. There is a book actually which I purchased, which is sort of like a Blade Runner, it's a BFI Classics book, and it sort of goes in depth about Blade Runner, talks about it from a kind of a cultural, social, political aspect, sort of the influence it's had over the years, and it goes a bit into its sort of production as well, and the making of the film itself. So expect to see a post on that, as well as the films I picked up here. They will all go onto my blog, sort of in a written format where I'll analyse them, break them down, look at the key conventions, and I'll try and watch Ali Confidential at some point to give some thoughts and opinions and see if I can take any inspiration from that. So yeah, it's been Phil, just giving you a recap. I hope you enjoyed this video. It'll go up on the blog shortly, and see you guys later.